Well, I've given my soliloquy. Let's move on because we got a lot of interesting topics to cover on today's show. Jeff Hardy exited a match at a house show rather abruptly for WWE. He went through the crowd, and WWE apparently wanted to send him to rehab, and he refused. So now he's been released. Jeff Hardy is one of my favorite performers of his era and one of my favorite people of all time. I consider Jeff a fan and a friend. So no doubt I'm rooting for him in this predicament, and hopefully he finds his way back more personally than professionally, because I think he has enough money to live the rest of his life, and certainly his reputation can never be sullied. He's one of the best performers, like I said, of his generation.
Well, you know how I feel. I couldn't agree more. I love Jeff. I love his wife Beth, and they're above all else. They got a great relationship. Beth backs his play all the time. I've talked to them both, and I think without saying something that's not accurate, I think Jeff just decided to say to them, "Hey, I've been there and done that. I went one time, and they told me to go back again. I said no. They they wanted me to stay 35 more days, and it really at first it faked me out because you wake up and you're on an unair conditioned La Quinta, right? And instead of drinking 20 drinks a day, I dipped 2 cans of Skull, smoked 2 packs of Marlboros, and drank 20 Diet Cokes. So what's the difference? Never went to the gym one day, and I was supposed to be the role model, right? I don't think so. It took me 2 days to fake them out, because the people, the majority of the people, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it didn't work for me, that are the counselors in these facilities are former addicts themselves. So while they're talking to you and trying to help you get a better understanding of what your issues are, they're recovering themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that gives them a good perspective, though, don't you?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just a work. It's a work.
Oh, I don't know about that, Nate.
Yeah, it's a work. For me, from my experience, it was, because I've seen the guys. I've seen people that I was working with that were helping me break down on a job. So why not? I'll give you an example. I woke up in the morning, right? First of all, do you want to hear the story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I get out of a plane at the airport. I'm driving back up to Wendy's house, right? 35 miles away with Wendy. And Hunter calls Wendy. He goes, put me on the phone with Nate. So I go, okay. I said, what's up? He said, you're going to rehab. I said, oh, no, I'm not. He said, oh, yeah. And I said to him, who do you think you're talking to? X-Pac? He said, no, I'm talking to you. You're going to rehab. I said, well, let me get my gear together. I'll go next week. He said, you're going today. So I'm unaware of all this. I get to Wendy's house, and my whole family is there. Ashley, Megan, David, Joe Gomez, everybody that loves me. They were having a
intervention.
And I didn't fight it. I said, okay, I'll go. So I got a 6-pack of beer while I went to the airport. I got there 3 hours early. I went in the club there and I drank 14 double Kettle One and cranberry. Got on a plane, drank 4 Bloody Marys. I said, if I'm going in, I'm going in. Got off the plane, got a 6-pack, checked in at 2 o'clock, and they gave me all the drug tests, right? I didn't even blow a number. and I called Hunter, my blood pressure was 120 over 78. The guy goes, there's something wrong with you. I said, I've been hearing that for years, young man. But then I woke up in the morning and not realized that I was in an unair conditioned La Quinta. So I walk out the steps, I light up a Marlboro, and I look across the terrace, the patio, and the doctor that was checking me in was sitting outside a room across from mine. So I go get my roommate and say, isn't that the doctor? Who's that guy? I said, he looks like the doctor that checked me in last night. He said, he is a doctor. I said, what's he doing here? He said, he's in rehab.
Well, now hold it. If you were in a La Quinta, were you unsupervised? I mean, how did they know you weren't indulging?
Oh no, you got to check in and all this. Trust them. They wrote roll call and have you get up in the morning and do all this. Go to the grocery store and walk around like a mark, like nobody knew me, right? Tampa, Florida. I was humiliated.
Well, that reminds me. That reminds me of the story Scott Hall told me when he checked into Hazelden in Minnesota.
Yeah.
On the drive up there, he got severely impaired, shall we say.
Yeah.
And when he checked in, they said, "Oh, Mr. Hall, we can't believe you showed up here in this condition." And he goes, "Well, I figured it would give me a shot at winning most improved."
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just was ready to go in, but I had been drinking so much and so heavily for that long period of time that I didn't even blow a number.
Well, what do you think is in store for Jeff's future? Because
anything you want, anything you want. I think that he knows he made a mistake, and I don't know any more than that. But I know Jeff Hardy is such a great talent. He does have the money, as you mentioned. He probably doesn't need to work, but like all of us that want to work for different reasons, it's hard to walk away from something. I've known those boys since they were young kids. They came to see me in Fayetteville and Raleigh with their dad. I've known their dad. Matt and Jeff are two of the greatest guys in my lifetime that I've had just an immense amount of fun with and have an immense amount of respect for. So Jeff would do whatever he wants to do.
Well, no question. I'm a fan and friend of the Hardys as well.
If Tony Khan doesn't hire him, as soon as, right away, he's already got a job.
Well, yeah, and I certainly think the Hardy boys as a team have to have one last run left in them, but obviously that should be on Jeff's schedule, and whenever he feels he's ready to do it, he's got to take care of himself first, and I'm sure he will.
He will. It comes and goes. And here's the deal. I'm not defending the WWE here, but you have to remember they're a publicly traded company, and they get looked at and scrutinized at a whole different level than one that's not. So I don't think they had a choice but to tell Jeff he could go. Not because they don't want Jeff Hardy there, but because there's some things that being publicly traded allows you to do and not do.
Well, here's Hardy's story. At your 70th birthday party,
yeah.
Jeff made it a point to come to me when he was leaving. He goes, "Listen, I think you're a great guy, and I'm glad we're friends." And Jeff's always said stuff like that. Like, wrestling's not always been receptive to me in the years since I've been absent. But the Hardy boys, whenever they're in Pittsburgh, both of them, one of them, I always hear from them. And again, I'm rooting for Jeff. I think he's just a terrific guy. Now, here's a topic we teased last week, H, and I find it real interesting.